July 9, 2026 was the single biggest launch day in AI history. OpenAI shipped 3 models at once, Elon shipped one 2 hours later, and Google shipped nothing. In the next 20 minutes, I'll show you exactly what changed, what it costs, and the one detail that's already breaking people's apps. Let's start with the facts because most coverage got them half right. On July 9th, OpenAI made GPT 5.6 publicly available. Not one model, 3. They're called Sol, Terra, and Luna, and as of launch day, all 3 are live across ChatGPT, the OpenAI API, and Codex, OpenAI's coding agent. Here's the naming logic because it matters for what OpenAI is trying to do. Sol is the flagship, Terra is the everyday production model, Luna is the budget tier, Sun, Earth, Moon, big, medium, small, and this wasn't a surprise drop. These models spent 13 days in a government-coordinated preview that started on June 26th, with roughly 20 vetted partner organizations getting early access. Hold on to that detail. A frontier model going through a government-coordinated preview before public launch has never happened before, and I'll come back to why it happened now. For regular ChatGPT users, the rollout is staged across all paid tiers. For developers, the model IDs are GPT 5.6s Sol, GPT 5.6 Terra, and GPT 5.6 Luna. Let's take them one at a time, starting at the top. Sol is the new frontier model, and OpenAI's headline claim is that it sets a new state-of-the-art on Terminal Bench 2.1. If you haven't heard of Terminal Bench, it's one of the harder agentic coding benchmarks out there. It doesn't test whether a model can write a function. It tests whether a model can operate inside a real terminal, chain commands, recover from errors, and finish multi-step engineering tasks end-to-end. That's the benchmark that predicts whether a model can actually do work, not just chat about work. Sol scores 88.8% on Terminal Bench 2.1. The previous best was 88.0. Independent testing from Artificial Analysis put Sol on top as well at 89.5%. So a new state-of-the-art there is a real claim, not a marketing claim. It is a narrow one though, less than a point over the old best. Now about that government preview. Sol was previewed to government-vetted partners starting June 26th, 13 days before you and I could touch it. Around 20 organizations. Why does that matter? Because it happened in the same 2-week window where the White House was preparing to announce voluntary AI model release standards. Nobody has confirmed the two are formally linked, but the timing tells you where frontier AI is heading in 2026. The most capable models now get reviewed before they get released. That's a structural change to how this industry ships. One thing OpenAI did not lead with, Sol's API pricing. The numbers are out now. Sol costs $5 per million input tokens and $30 per million output tokens. Terra and Luna we'll get to in a second. Here's my honest take after reading everything. Sol is the headline, but Terra and Luna are the actual strategy. Terra is priced at $2.50 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. OpenAI is positioning it as GPT 5.5 competitive performance at roughly half the cost, and it's expected to become the default model for standard paid ChatGPT plans. Read that again. The default ChatGPT model just got materially smarter and materially cheaper to serve at the same time. Luna is the one nobody saw coming. $1 per million input, $6 per million output. That's a budget tier that previously did not exist in the OpenAI model family at all. So why would OpenAI, the company that spent 2 years defending premium pricing, suddenly ship a $1 model? One word: China. And I'm going to give you the actual numbers, because they explain this entire launch. A CNBC investigation published 2 days before this launch confirmed that Chinese AI models now account for between 30 and 46% of enterprise API token usage flowing through U.S. developer platforms. On OpenRouter, one of the biggest model gateways, Chinese model share has been above 30% every single week since February. And the pricing data explains why. Open-source Chinese models are running 60 to 90% cheaper than the leading American frontier models. Luna is OpenAI's answer to that. It's not a product decision, it's a defensive maneuver in a price war most people don't know is happening. And before you touch any of these models through the API, there's one migration detail buried in the developer notes that is already breaking production apps this week. That's coming right up, because it'll take you 30 seconds to fix and it'll save you a very bad Monday. Trap number 1. If you have anything in production pointed at the GPT 5.5 latest endpoint, listen carefully. It does not auto-migrate to GPT 5.6. OpenAI confirmed this in the launch documentation. If you assumed latest means latest, your app is quietly running the old model right now, or worse, will fail when that endpoint sunsets. The fix is simple. Pin explicit model IDs, GPT 5.6 Asol, GPT 5.6 Terra, or GPT 5.6 Luna. Do it today. Trap number 2 is actually an opportunity. GPT 5.6 ships with a completely new prompt caching system, explicit cache breakpoints, a 30-minute minimum cache life, and here's the number that matters. Cache reads are billed at a 90% discount. It's active across all 3 tiers from day 1. Let me make that concrete. Say you're running a support bot with a 10,000 token system prompt that fires on every message. Under the old billing, you paid full price for those 10,000 tokens every single call. With cache breakpoints set correctly, every call after the first pays 10%. On Terra, that's the difference between 2.5 cents of input cost per call and 1/4 cent. At 100,000 calls a month, you've just cut a meaningful line item by 90% by adding one parameter. Most teams will not read the docs and will not do this, which means for the next few months, the teams that did will be running the same product at a fraction of the inference cost of their competitors. Now zoom out, because GPT 5.6 didn't launch into a vacuum. It launched into the most crowded single day the frontier has ever seen. 2 hours after OpenAI's announcement, xAI took Grok 4.5 public. Same day. And Elon's team came out swinging with an Opus-class performance claim, which is a direct shot at Anthropic's model family. Grok 4.5 has its own story worth knowing. It spent its private beta running inside SpaceX and Tesla, reportedly at 1.5 trillion parameters. Real internal deployment as the beta test. That's a flex no other lab can copy. And here's the stat that frames the whole day. July 9, 2026 was the first time since June 12 that every major frontier lab had a publicly available model at the same time. Why June 12th? Because that's the day the US government's export control ban took Claude Fable 5 offline for nearly 3 weeks. If you missed that story, it's genuinely the wildest AI story of the year, and I'm covering the full documents in a separate video, which leaves exactly one empty chair at the table: Google. Gemini 3.5 Pro is still sitting in a limited enterprise preview with no confirmed launch date, no published benchmarks, and no confirmed pricing. It has now missed 2 of Google's own self-imposed deadlines, first the I/O promise, then a June 30th general availability target. Google's stated reason is that enterprise testers flagged excessive token consumption in long agentic tasks. Translation: the model burns too much money to run, and they're fixing it in public silence while everyone else ships. So the scoreboard on launch week: OpenAI 3 models, xAI 1, Anthropic's full lineup restored, Google 0. So with all of that on the table, one question actually matters. Which of these should you personally be using? Not the benchmark answer. The real answer, by use case and by budget. That's the last section, and it's the part I'd screenshot. Here's the pattern underneath all of this, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The AI market is splitting into 3 hard tiers. Tier 1, gated frontier models. Sol previewed through a government process. Fable 5 went through an actual export control ban and came back behind usage-based billing. Access to the very top of the capability curve is getting more restricted, more monitored, and more expensive. That's the new normal, not a blip. Tier 2, mid-tier models that are almost as good and much cheaper. Terra at $250. Claude Sonnet 5 at $2 introductory. This tier is where 90% of real business workloads are going to live because the capability gap to the frontier keeps shrinking while the price gap keeps growing. Tier 3. Open weight models, increasingly Chinese, at 60 to 90% below American pricing. Kimi K2.7 Code just became the first open-weight coding model inside GitHub Copilot. That tier is no longer the hobbyist tier. It's eating enterprise share every week. Luna exists because OpenAI knows Tier 3 is real. The government preview exists because Washington knows Tier 1 is powerful. And Terra exists because Tier 2 is where the money is. So, concrete recommendations based on what's confirmed at launch. If you're a ChatGPT subscriber and not a developer, you don't have to do anything. Terra is expected to become your default, and it's a straight upgrade. The one thing worth testing this week is Codex with Sol if you write any code at all, because terminal bench performance is exactly the skill that shows up in agentic coding. If you're a developer running production workloads, pin your model IDs today, implement cache breakpoints this week, and run your own eval before switching tiers. My starting map: Luna for classification, extraction, and high-volume simple calls. Terra for everything you currently run on GPT 5.5. Sol only for the tasks where you can prove the quality delta pays for the price delta. If you're choosing between labs, don't decide off launch week benchmarks, including OpenAI's own. Every lab publishes the charts they win. The honest comparison is running your actual tasks head-to-head, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. GPT 5.6, Grok 4.5, and Claude Sonnet 5 on 50 real tasks: coding, research, writing, and agents, with a clear winner per category. That video is next on this channel. That comparison drops in a few days, and it's the video I'd want before moving any real workload. If you want it the hour it goes live, subscribe. That's the whole ask. While you wait, watch my breakdown of the Fable 5 ban next, because the 3 weeks the government took a frontier model offline explains why this whole launch week looked the way it did. See you in the next one.